Whilst most games push themselves into the modern era, some developers like to take a step back in time to a simpler, more retro age. With 3 arcadey titles under my belt, it's time for a retro roundup. Stop. Oh, there's so many. What? No! First up is Shooty Skies Overdrive, a VR reimagining of a 2018 mobile game. Taking cues from its bullet hell beginnings, it's basically a shooting gallery arcade machine strapped to your face. One controller will permanently morph into an adorable little shooty plane as waves of enemies blast towards you. Dividing your time between taking down the retro rivals and just ducking around their attacks, you'll quickly find yourself immersed in the action. Though it does take a hot second to learn to pay attention to where your hand is, keeping your palms in your peripheral isn't the most common practice in video games. But you do have 2 palms, and alongside your simple biplane is a slew of wacky power-ups. Using your free hand to grab at power-up boxes, you can shield yourself from the barrage of blasters, vacuum up oncoming pixels, or chainsaw away distant enemies. Chainsaw! Each world brings a unique influence to the available power-ups. There's just so much character and style oozing directly into my eyeballs, which isn't a sentence I say very often. Now, whilst it won't hurt combat if you've only got a small space to play with, the heavyweight bosses can get pretty tedious in smaller play areas. Maybe it's a bit of a cheat, but giving yourself more room does allow for a cheeky sidestep around the grid of pixels. Sneaky! Hey, there was nothing saying I couldn't just avoid the danger. Now, despite only offering 5 worlds to blast through, Overdrive manages to squeeze every drop of content out of its simple premise. With 3 difficulty tiers to conquer and a slew of adorable fighters to unlock, hey, little guy. One more round never felt so tempting. Oh no! Sometimes less really is more. I adored this, so I'm giving Shooty Skies Overdrive 5 out of 5 rubber chickens. Now, onwards to the land of drills. Mr. Driller DrillLand arrived on the GameCube 18 years ago, so I don't think anyone was really expecting a remaster, but here we are. Plonking you 500 meters below the surface in the so-called amusement park of DrillLand, you'll need to drill through its set of attractions. It's certainly the weirdest theme park ever devised. DrillLand is basically a match 3 game, though here you'll have to match 4. Really breaking those gaming conventions there. So taking the time to line up matching colored tiles will get you to the end quicker, and occasionally erupt your screen with many exploding pixels. Despite its colorful exterior and seemingly light gameplay, this thing is deceptively difficult. Each attraction at DrillLand boasts a different set of rules, objectives, and challenges. Most levels would attract a percentage of your health with each drill. Some levels will require a bit of backtracking to acquire gold or vanquish foes, whilst others pose enemies that can basically halve your health with a single strike. So there's heaps to manage on top of just trying to drill. This is probably one for slightly older spawnlings, as even I struggled with a lot of it. Most of it. Thankfully, there is a casual mode which lowers the difficulty for players that want to experience a shred of joy in this game. Alongside the core gameplay, there's also a few collectibles and trading cards to buy. These, along with power-ups, will help you better progress through each attraction. For Mr. Driller fans, the world is back on your Switch. For players that want a new challenge, this will certainly offer it. But for Will, this just didn't spark the joy I needed to keep drilling. So it's 2.5 out of 5 rubber chickens from me. Alrighty, one more game, Mum. Now, I never played the original 1980s Missile Command, but I think the basics are more or less the same in this recharged version. You have a battery of missile launchers you can use to protect a few buildings from a deadly rain of enemy missiles, and that's pretty much it. This is an endless survive as long as possible situation, so it's just a matter of time until things get out of hand and some missiles manage to slip through. Once you've lost all your buildings, it's game over. It's a super simple but satisfying mechanic that works perfectly on touchscreens, and there's a bit of depth to it too, thanks to a variety of potential power-ups as well as different enemy projectiles. I also loved the bright neon visuals and synthy soundtrack, which nails a certain 80s vibe. And I liked that you could spend your points on permanent upgrades to your missile defense system. Each part can only be upgraded 5 times though, which bummed me out a little because I was hoping to make an overpowered, impenetrable missile system. Alas, they opted to keep things balanced and make me rely on my skills. Fine. But it also meant I managed to fully upgrade everything pretty quickly, so there isn't anything to chase here long term, other than ever higher scores on the leaderboard, which I suppose is the entire point of an arcade game. On Switch and PC, this will cost you a couple of dollars, but it's free on mobile. And of course, anything free on mobile raises the specter of awful microtransactions, though here they handle them pretty well, mostly by not having them. You get 3 lives which recharge every 20 minutes, or you can just buy the game to remove that timer, or you can just watch an ad to refill your lives. Simple. There's also an augmented reality feature on mobile that allows you to place an old school arcade cabinet in the real world and play on that. It's not at all a good way to play, but it's a fun extra touch. Missile Command Recharged is overall pretty simple, so I don't know if I'd strongly recommend it as a purchase for PC or Switch, but as a free mobile game, it's great. So I'm giving it 4 out of 5 rubber chickens.